Alright, YouTube. So, we're back again today, and we're just gonna start welding this thing out. Like I said, we're gonna clamp that piece of aluminum under there to dissipate the heat, and we're gonna try and like work around everything, like in different areas, and just, you know, take your time. Gonna do a lot of welding. YouTube. It's time for a mid-video promotional advertisement here. Many of you may be wondering where I get my knee pads from. You can get them totally free of charge. If you go to www.goarmy.com, there's going to be a button in your top right corner of your screen that says get in touch. Then you can click on find a recruiter or call 1-888-550-ARMY. They'll give you these knee pads totally free. You'll even get this belt too. If you want some other cool stuff, just check it out. It's totally free. All right, YouTube, I got done welding all the bottom sides. Now I've flipped this thing over and it's time to weld the top. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this thing does kind of have a bow to it, but it's a bow in a good direction, because if you like, it's bowed up, so when you put weight on it, it's gonna bow back flat. And when I weld this side, it may just flatten it out again. One of the ways you can counteract that is to use a MIG welder and not stick. Possibly use smaller electrodes. Like weld a little bit and then like give it a lot of time to cool down. There's other ways you can do it too, like if you, like the I-beam table I talked about, if you have it all clamped down, it's probably not going to bow as bad as when it's just sitting on blocks like this. But like I said, once we throw the axle on this and we throw the welder on it, it should take care of most of the warpage here. So I'm gonna wire wheel some stuff, and then I'm just gonna go around and weld the tops of these things. And then after that, it'll be time to throw the deck on, I think. Possibly. We'll see how it goes. Alright, YouTube, so the next thing you're going to see me do after I got everything all welded out is I'm going to go ahead and install the jack on this thing. I got it up on jack stands and this floor jack in the front. I'm going to put this jack on just for a little bit of added safety when I'm throwing the deck on. The best way I found how to do this is just get it like kind of where your truck would sit, which is about here. Raise the jack up. You want to kind of rotate it around, make sure it ain't gonna hit, and you can go ahead and tack that thing there. And you can pull the jack off, clamp the pipe down, and weld it out. All right, YouTube. So now we got the jack on. We're up on blocks. Now I think we're gonna attempt to throw the deck on here. So we'll see how that goes. All right, YouTube. So there's part of the deck on. The rest is going to be pieced together out of another piece of plate that I have. But for right now, we're good enough to start welding. We're going to clamp it down, wire wheel it, and all that jazz. I definitely recommend, if you have somebody that's willing to help you with this, I definitely recommend that they help you. It's pretty freaking heavy. I just put it on there myself, but I would not recommend it. All right, YouTube. The next thing you want to do after you get your deck all done, you got to put your top rail on. You can put the top rail on before you put your deck on too. It doesn't really matter. I just did it this way. But the next thing you want to do before you put your top rail on is you want to put your axle on, put your wheels on, and that way you know where your the fender flares, or the fenders, or whatever you want to call them, you know where they're gonna sit. So you want to put your axle on, bolt it all down. These ones here, like the shackle bolts, they don't have to be super tight. You're just trying to get the height of it. But you want to get these U-bolts pretty tight. Once you get them on, they're nylocks. So unless you got some Loctite you plan on putting on, don't remove them. Just move the whole thing as a leaf spring. Like, move the whole thing as one unit now, after you get them tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish putting this axle on, and then we're gonna figure out the height we need for our top rail, and we're gonna make our top rail. And that should be almost it, except for all of the safety stuff we gotta add to this thing. All right, YouTube. So now we're back. We got the axle assembly all on there. The wheels are on there. Now the next part is we're going to install the top rail. You noticed how my trailer had a really bad bow in it. You can still see it now, I think. I don't know if it's the GoPro, it might add a little bit more than what it is. But you can see, kinda, yeah, there you go. You can see it's not very straight. This is where you can kind of fix that a little bit. So what I did is, instead of having the trailer on the jack and on the tires, I got it on these chock blocks, or whatever, yeah, jack stands, and then I got it on posts up here in the front. Those aren't super important. If they fall, they fall, you know. They may not be the safest thing in the world, but it doesn't matter because we're not going under the trailer. If it falls, it'll just fall an inch onto that the jack right there. So what you need to do now is you got to measure. I mean, you could do this with one tire on. I probably should have done that, but both tires are on now. But you got to measure the distance between your axle and the deck. So what, like, between the top part of your axle and the deck, because that's the most amount of suspension travel you can possibly have. Then after you know that measurement, your fender has to sit at a minimum that high. Like, what that measurement is, your fender has to sit that high above your tire in order to prevent it from rubbing. You'll notice that, like, if you buy a trailer from Lowe's or a Tractor Supply, they don't always get that exactly perfect, and you'll see the fender cuts into the tires around, like, right in here. That already happened on my a trailer I bought. So I'm gonna try my hardest to prevent that from happening on mine. So whatever that measurement is right now, if I keep these tires in the same place, I need to put my top rail, I'm gonna add an inch or 1.5 inches or more, just for safety, you know. And that's, I'm gonna get these the fenders above the tires. So that's gonna take me a little bit to figure out here, but then yeah, once you get your fenders sitting up that high, then you can figure out where you need to put your top rail, unless you want some funky, you know, go here, then go up, and then go over sort of top rail. But if you just want one straight, flat across, you got to set it a minimum of that high above your tire. All right, YouTube. So yeah, I told you you need your fender to sit above your tire, a minimum of the distance between your axle and the top rail. So if you're doing this alone, you know, the best way to do this is to just get a block of wood or something around the same size as your preferably the exact same size as what you're trying to get your fender up above there. And then you can just you know, I have to get mine at least 3 inches. So then you can take your tape measure, stick it in here, and then find out how high your top rail has to sit. So my top rail is going to sit 13 inches above the deck in this particular area. It's probably going to be higher in the front and in the back because it bows. That's the way it bows. So then I'm going to get some 2x4s and stuff, or some other pieces of metal, and we're going to clamp it to the sides here, and then clamp the top rail to that until we get it perfect, and then we'll know how long to cut the uprights. So yeah, we're gonna keep going here. All right, so now we're back again. Them aluminum blocks that I've been using for pretty much everything around here, we're using them again. All right, we got one piece clamped up in the corner here, and the other in the other corner over here, and that's how we're gonna figure out where this top rail is going. All right, so it's gonna be pretty time consuming, but you're gonna keep clamping and unclamping one or both of the ends of this until you get it exactly where you want it. Then once you get it exactly where you want it, you're gonna take your tape measure and you're going to measure the distance between like the bottom of this and the top of that, and then that's how you know how long to cut your the uprights. You'll notice this is backwards right now. That's because I just put it on backwards. It's gonna go another way here in a second. Yeah, just keep doing this. Keep moving them up and down until you get it exactly where you want it. It can be level. It can be, but in order for that to be level, you know, you gotta make it the same level as your trailer. If your trailer's not level, then obviously you can't set your top rail level and expect everything to be level. So yeah, just keep doing that, get it where you want it, and then cut your things and weld them into place. So we're gonna keep doing this. Alright, YouTube. So the trailer build is coming along. I got the 2 side rails tacked in on the ends. Now we're getting to the front. And now I should have planned this out better. So as you can see, this is the piece that I need to use for the front. It's actually too short to do what I was trying to do. And I should have measured that out beforehand. But it's not like a huge deal, you know. I'm still gonna do what I'm doing here. But I'm gonna fix it or make it look pretty cool. Alright. So instead of having like square edges and whatnot, like most people do on their trailers, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this out in a circle using that point there and just radius it off, and it's gonna look like one rounded edge. So I think it'll come out okay, even though I messed it up. So that's like the good thing about working with metal, you know, is you can always fix the mistakes you make. So yeah, I'm gonna get this piece cut out down here to where I want it, I think. And then yeah, we're gonna fix our boo-boo here. All right, so it's getting a little bit messy right now because all the tools and whatnot. But y'all saw what I did right there. Just threw that 5-gallon bucket on. Radius the whole thing is one radius there. So I don't know. I think it came out pretty good. You know, you lose a little bit of strength compared to what I was going for, but I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool like that. So that's the thing with metalworking, man. You can just fix what you mess up. Keep on going. All right, YouTube. This next part, it was a pain in the dick to set up, but I think now we're kind of ready. I got the fenders on. I ran out of angle iron for the top rail, like the uprights, but that's not a problem. I'll get some more. I'm trying to use up the daylight I got, so I'm just moving on to other things. I'm trying to get these fenders set up now. If you've never done these before, it's like a pain in the dick, I think. You want to find the approximate center of your fender there, and then the approximate center of your tire. And then what I do is put it all the way up against the angle at the top here. Get a pair of vice grips, clamp it into place, and then rock it back and forth until both sides are even. Like if you stick a tape measure on here, I get like 2 and like just under 3/4. Then you go around to the other side, and that's like 2 and just under 3/4. So that's about even, and then you can go ahead and tack it into place and get to welding. You want to take the tires off before you start tacking these. The tires are coming off, and then we're going to tack this into place and then weld out what pieces of the top rail I have. Generally, most people put like angle iron and stuff on these to hold these better. I'm probably going to figure out some sort of bracing, or whenever I get around to putting a piece of metal across here, I'll put something across it and just like weld it fast there. But for right now, we're just gonna tack it up and get moving on with this project. All right, YouTube. So we're back out here at this trailer build here. I got the log sitting there because I was trying to on-bow some of this thing, but we're going along and we're putting up the uprights for the top rail, and we ran into a problem, and that's we didn't order enough angle iron to complete this entire project. I thought we were gonna have enough, but we didn't, so that's my bad. We're about like 4 feet short, so probably about 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet short. So what I came up with, instead of dicking around trying to wait for the steel supply to cut this thing and go out there and pick it up, waste like half a day doing this, I over ordered on the channel iron because I was planning on using that for some more trailer builds. But so we need upright here and an upright here, same on the other side, and then probably at least 2 of them up in the front. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take some channel iron, cut it in half, and we're gonna use that for some angle. So we'll see how this goes, see how it turns out. I'm gonna use the plasma cutter to cut that up, and then I'm gonna use the grinder to smooth it all out. So I'll get back to you when I'm done with all that. Alright, YouTube. So we've been moving along on this trailer build. It's pretty much almost ready for paint right now. I gotta tighten the bolts for the axle a little bit more, but that can be done after paint. I got the light brackets installed. Those are for the rear, and then that's for the clearance lights. I had ground that down a little bit. Got the other safety chain hooked up, so that's all welded up and ready to go. So pretty much now all we got to do is actually yeah. All right, so yeah, pretty much now all we got to do is I gotta cut a hole in the deck so that we can get the oil drained on the welder if we ever need to. So it's hard to see it, but I got the lines already laid out right there. The hypertherm here is what I'm going to be using to cut that, and then after that's all done, I think it's ready for paint. So I'll show you what I did for the lights, since I did that off camera. I already showed you guys this. It's just a piece of angle iron that I'll cut off when I was cutting other things for this trailer. Then I just drilled a 1/4 inch hole through it. Moved the drill bit around a little bit to knock off the burrs, and the bolt for the light fit right through. Ground down the edges so it's not as sharp, and then for the back I got this it's another cut off piece. When I was putting them uprights on up there, I only used 3, but I had 4 pieces of angle, so instead of letting it go to waste, I stuck it on. The skinnier parts, with the part that I drilled through, ground that down with a little bit so it's not as sharp. Went ahead and ground this down in the back here so that's not as sharp, and then I figured out where the holes would go, put 2 holes in there, and then these are pretty much the style lights I'm going to use. You don't have to use these, you can use fancier ones, but all it is just 2 holes that go in the back there. You put your ground wire on like that. This one's getting cut off, that was for display. And then I'm gonna run some PEX pipe after it's all painted. I'm gonna run some PEX pipe along along somewhere, and that's what I'm gonna be using for a conduit for the wires. And then yeah, it should be pretty much good. I can't really think of too many things I need to do to this yet besides bolt the welder down, and then I got an oxyacetylene rack I'm also going to be bolting down, but that can be done after it's painted. Yeah, so I'm gonna get around to cutting this hole out, and then I think it'll be time to clean it up and get it painted.